Of rain recorded this year has left several farms around the White Volta Basin in the Upper East region submerged in floodwaters, with Burkinabe authorities announcing spillage of excess water from the dam from Thursday. Farmers at Pualugu are scared they will lose their farms. Some of them have been speaking to our correspondent Albert Sori.
So I'm here on the banks of the White Volta Lake, and this is the Pualugu community. Now on each side of the lake you have farms. The whole of this place, you have people's farms there, and also on the other side you have many of the farmers who live in this area plying their trade. And we're told that the Burkinabe authorities have started spilling water from the Bagre Dam. Now every year this happens, and what they are telling me is that every time the water is spilled from their farms, which are at least 200-300 meters away from the lake, even get flooded, because where I'm standing will be full of water eventually when the volumes of water coming from the Bagre Dam are very high.
Those who farm along the White Volta, every year will farm, water will take it. Every year will farm, water will take it. People are saying that the farmers should vacate. If farmers are going to vacate, where are we going to get a land and farm? And especially when you go to the uplands and you don't have money, you can't access to money to buy fertilizer. So it's a worry. And more to the point, instead of our leaders should go to Burkina Faso and see the way they are also open their water. Because if they are going to open the water, I think a water have a meter ban. Maybe if it is 100, then you see that their dam is overflowing. They should advise the Burkina Faso people to regulate the water, maybe 10%, and leave 90%. 3 weeks time, they'll open another 10%. That one, it won't affect the farmers. But Massa, in fact, what our leaders are doing to us is very bad. Especially, I don't know what our MPs are doing from Upper East, Northern region, because this White Volta started affecting people from Zabila up to this side, going to overseas. All the northern regions, part of Volta region, it will affect. What our MPs are doing, they should go to Burkina.
And we hear news that they are going to open the Burkina Bagre Dam. And then I here to the place that we are farming, the thing will affect us. So we need the government to help us, because every year we didn't have money to buy fertilizer. See, this is my corn. I didn't put fertilizer inside, but I have a corn. But if this water comes and then destroy it, I won't get the food. So I'm appealing that the government should help. It should let the minister and the MPs to go there and then consult with them. And then let them help us. Because if the water is going to 8 or 100, they should be opening it 10-10 so that we'll get the food.
We have no option than to farm here. We have no other place than here. And without farming too, we can't survive. Without farming too, we can't survive. There's no other place. There is no other place apart from this place.
To all this problem?
The solution is concerning about the water, the Bagre Dam. They have to reduce it small. At least if the level is up to 100, at least they should open it 10% for us so that we can manage. Because sometimes, as of now, we are suffering now. Getting to dry season, they will be having some tomatoes, onions, they're enjoying, and we are suffering now. And this is the time for us to enjoy. As of now, they spoil this one. So how are we going to do? That we normally spend just by hardly without gaining any profit.
They are hoping that the situation will be different this year, but it's been raining here seriously, and you know, working here today, I had to get beaten by the rain, so I'm even drenched because of that. So if the spilling continues for the rest of the coming days, the likelihood that the water will overflow and onto people's farms is very high. My name is Albert Sori for Joy News.
Now, Jerry Asemeni is Upper East Regional Director of the National Disaster Management Organization, and he joins us on phone. Good evening, Mr. Asmani, and thank you for making time to speak with us. Now, even before the spillage of the Bagre Dam happens, we've been hearing the farmers who are saying that their floods, and in fact, we have visuals that show that their farmlands are already submerged. Now, what have you been able to do as far as trying to negotiate with the Burkinabe authorities with the holding on of this spillage?
Come again with your question.
All right, I'm asking if you've made any progress at all in trying to get the Burkinabe authorities to hold on with the spillage of the Bagre Dam.
Yes, we are in touch with the officials there, that is Sonabel, just like VRA over here. They too, technically, they are called Sonabel. We are in touch with them constantly, every hour, just to see how this would not be the question of choice, whether they have the choice to hold on or not. It is a natural phenomenon. The rate at which the dam will be filled is based on the downpour. And as at yesterday and today, the reading on the scale, that is the gauge, is 233.88 now, as at 2 p.m. this afternoon. That is about 80%. And looking at this thing, the maximum level of the gauges for the spillage is always 235 feet. And if this evening the reading was 233.88, basically we have less than 2 meters for the dam to be filled. So it's not, the question is not going to be about the question of a choice as to whether they can hold on or not. It's about whether the weather would permit that. That is, if there's going to be downpour, depending on all tributaries bringing in the water into the dam, they cannot hold on. But as of now, we have been monitoring to see whether they will give us the hour that, and they themselves, they have not been able to give us the hour the spillage will descend, suggesting that the dam has not yet reached its max because it needs 235 on their scale to be able to spill out. But as it is, we are alert. The government is ready. NADMO is ready. The army brigades are here with us. The rapid response team, that's the code name, Tenderboat, is ready. The speedboats have just arrived. And then the sensitization is going on. So yes, it's not going to be about a choice.
All right.
The devastation will be more if the dam breaks. So definitely the spillage is likely going to be obvious. Unless, of course, the weather, gives us that mercy and it's not filled to the 235-meter level.
All right, Mr. Semei, it means that we have, the weather gives us some time to figure out what exactly we're going to do. But what exactly is NADMO doing in preparation or ahead of the spillage?
Yeah, ahead the spillage, we have been able to put up the sensitization programs. For instance, the radio, we have been hitting all radio stations, explaining and appealing to people around the riverbanks, and then the farmers to take care of their animals, their shepherds, that is their children who are, shepherding these animals. And then they should stay away from today till 30th. The spillage is going to, even if it will happen at all, is going to take place today, between today and 30th. So they should stay away the riverbanks. And then we are appealing, we have put our DVGs, that is the volunteer groups, to be at major roads, trying to explain to people about the dangers from crossing, because there are people who might get there, they are travelers, they are not aware of what is going on, so they might be trapped. So we have put our volunteers all at major roads to keep informing people. The police are all alert, the fire service, they are all alert, paramedics, that medicinal items are stored. We have food items, maize, rice, oil, we have blankets, tents, and all that for the relief aspect. Yes, we are well equipped, but we cannot boast of having enough to overcome the act of God. It might come to a scale that even though we have been stocked with items, it might overwhelm us. But we are praying that it shouldn't happen. But
right.
to the human level, I think NADMO has been active. It has been able to stock some of these items ready to go. We have been able to identify high grounds where should disaster strikes us, we should be able to get our people, those who are by the refugees, to get to highlands and all that.
Mr. Semeni,
to neighbors to
Mr. Semeni, I'd like to know
by taking in victims if it happens. The police are there. We have our rapid team that is codenamed.
Okay, Mr. Semeni, I can appreciate how prepared you are to deal with the aftermath of this flooding, should there be. But I would want to know, you have been experiencing or been involved in this, or NADMO has been involved in this year in, year out. Have you made any suggestions on how to avoid disaster in the wake of the fact that we have this happening all the time? Is there any concrete suggestions you have put forward apart from...
Well, the only suggestion that would have been possible, which is too late, was to avoid the dumping of the Bagri Dam there. That is the only way we can avoid it. But
no, but we know that the Bagri Dam is always filled every year. Yes. I'm asking, is there any other way we can avoid this? Do we, move the people away from the area? Is that the best way to avoid this? And how are we doing
that would have been a possibility or an alternative. But the problem is with the illiteracy rate and people living closer to their ancestral homes, where their parents, their grandparents were buried, it's very difficult to move them. Secondly, the difficulty of finance. Moving people, relocating people would involve a lot of money. And as it is, most governments have always struggled to move people, to relocate them. But I think the alternative would have been to move them. And the thing is, land tenure system is such that ownership of land, especially the northern part of the country, is based on ancestral settlement. So it's very difficult to move people to other areas, and then we cannot give them. Nobody will be ready to share lands. We don't have forest reserves that we can create. Give them to settle and all that. It's really, really a tough issue. But it would have been the best alternative if the government was capable of doing that. But as it is, I know the land system that we have here would be very difficult to move that.
All
People
right.
are even
Thank you very much, Jerry Asemeni. Jerry Asemeni is the Upper East Regional Director of the National Disaster Management Organization. We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but still ahead, former President John Mahama formally joins contest to lead the opposition National Democratic Congress into the 2020 elections, a move he describes as a duty to God and country.
I prayed diligently about the task ahead, and I believe I owe a duty to God and my country to take our great party back into government.
Stay tuned, we'll be back in a bit. Now, government has accused the minority in Parliament of deliberately courting its affection for the government from the International Monetary Fund by demanding clarification on the $2 billion bauxite deal. Parliament last month approved an amount of $500 million for phase 1 of the deal that will see roads constructed by Chinese firm Sinohydro, with government paying back with bauxite. The minority want the deal captured as a loan agreement. Now, speaking on the Super Morning Show, Information Minister Designate Kojo Oppong Nkrumah says the minority or the NDC MPs are acting in bad faith.
They tabled all of these arguments in Parliament, and the Parliament of Ghana, that represents the people of Ghana, had an opportunity to interrogate it and come to a conclusion to pass a resolution that the agreement, the MPSA, that had been signed between the government of Ghana and Sinohydro of China. And what it said it was essentially that this was a barter agreement, was what it was, and the Parliament of Ghana approves of it. Now, I'll go into a few of the substantive matters. What is a loan and what is a barter arrangement? You can pick a dictionary, you can Google and find out the difference between a loan and a barter agreement. Now, the reason for which they try very hard to say that this is a loan is the fact that we came to Parliament, and the memorandum says that we are here in Parliament under Article 181, because 55 and 56 in our view are procedural. But 181 is what we stated in the memorandum, that we are here on the authority of Article 181. The moment we said that, our friends in the minority quickly went to 181, 1 and 2, of course, which deals with loans, and made the argument that, then it's a loan. And I remember I was involved in the debate that we drew the attention that, no, we are here under Article 1815, which says that the procedures that you have to go through when you are going for a loan, an international loan of that kind, are the same procedures that you have to follow when you are going for an international economic or business transaction. So we are here under 1815, and if I just may read 1815 for the benefit of your listeners, this article, which is 1815, with the necessary modifications by Parliament, applies to an international business or economic transaction to which the government is a party, as it applies to a loan. So the same procedures you go through when you are going for a loan are the same procedures you go through when you come for an international business or economic transaction, and that's why we came to Parliament. 5. Secondly, they made the argument that because the document says that debtor and creditor, once you mention debtor and creditor, then you are talking about a loan. And we explained to them that a debtor is an entity that owes a debt.
Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu have refuted claims that they're causing disaffection for the government, insisting that the NDC MPs are only concerned about the impact on the country's debt stock.
Closed the year on 2017. I wrote formally to the Minister for Finance for some information from the Bank of Ghana on how the year closed. I'm yet to have a formal response to that letter. I'll make a copy available to you. So, for my colleague to describe this as Nicodemus, it is the intransigence. They insist is better, and we insist is a loan. And let me quote, I'm holding the mid-year fiscal policy review of the 2018 budget statement economic policy presented to Parliament 19 July 2018 by Minister for Finance, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, and then read this. Mr. Speaker, I would like to assure this august House that the 2 billion worth of infrastructure to be provided by Sinohydro will not add to the debt stock. So the quagmire that we are seeking as a minority to resolve is whether this 2 billion will increase the debt stock for Ghana or not, and whether an additional increase in the debt stock will not occasion additional burden for interest payment by government on behalf of the taxpayers of Ghana.
Minister for Zongo and Inner Cities Development, Dr. Mustafa Hamid, says the availability and access to quality education in Zongo communities in the country is top on his agenda. According to Dr. Hamid, the lack of quality education facilities in such communities has contributed to the negative public perception about youths in such areas, hence has resolved to roll out mentorship programs to improve the situation. There's more in this report.
Addressing the media after a familiarization tour to inspect the Medina AstroTurf project started by former Minister Alhaji Sadiq Boniface in Medina, Dr. Mustafa Hamid said plans are far advanced to include libraries and other educational facilities to the turfs that are being constructed for youth in Zongo communities across the country.
My vision moving forward, to add to what my brother Boniface has already done, will be also to attach libraries and reading places to these AstroTurf centers. And so, allied to that, we are going to do a mentorship program in inner cities and Zongo communities that allows us to attach young people, upcoming youth in our Zongos to accomplished people, coming from inner cities, and to mentor them.
Touching on issues of financial management at the ministry, Dr. Hamid disclosed that a board had been inaugurated to manage the much talked about Zongo Fund.
There are a series of steps that you need to take the the board members and the processes for them to become fully functional. For example, we have to do training for the board members in the Public Financial and Management Act. We need to do training for them in corporate governance. All of those things that will imbue them with the right qualities to be able to administer the fund according to law. By the close of September, I believe that they will be ready to begin the processes of administering the fund.
After conducting the minister around the AstroTurf, the contractors, Wembley Sports Construction Company Limited, said it is optimistic it will soon complete and hand over the project to government for use.
What you have seen here, we are also doing same for Wali Wali and Chebi. So I believe strongly that in the next 2 or 3 months, we should be able to finish this facility and hand it over to government. Like the minister indicated, this facility or this edifice is not only for football, but we can have marriages on it, funerals can be done, crusade. The Christians can also come here and have their crusades and all that.
Government is hopeful the Zongo and Inner City projects will provide a safe haven for children and youth in such areas and shield them from the numerous social vices associated with lack of education and mentorship. Wembley Sports Construction Company Limited hopes to replicate the Medina AstroTurf in all 270 constituencies across the country under the One Constituency, One Artificial Football Turf initiative. Charity Emihil Batel's report for Joy News.
Elsewhere, a baseline study conducted by the Community Development Alliance has revealed that several state officials are involved in the smuggling of subsidized fertilizer to neighboring Burkina Faso. Executive Director of the local non-governmental organization Salifu Isifu Canton is worried this practice won't stop till government conducts a thorough audit into the program. Rafiq Salam reports from WA.
The fertilizer subsidy program, launched in 2015, aimed at enhancing food production and security. The program targets smallholder farmers cultivating maize, rice, sorghum and millet with priority on food crop and farmers registered under recognized companies as well as cotton farmers operating under recognized nucleus farmers. The program is part of government's effort to boost agricultural activities to increase food production and enhance incomes of farmers in a move to help Ghana achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 2, which focuses on hunger eradication. However, local farmers have repeatedly complained about inaccessibility to their manure during farming seasons, while local media and civil society organizations report of a syndicate of smugglers who smuggle it through unapproved routes into neighboring countries. Based on the aforementioned, a local non-governmental organization, Community Development Alliance, CDA, with support from Advance, conducted baseline study in 2 districts in the Upper West region, namely Sasala West and Lamuse districts, to ascertain the truth or otherwise of the spurious allegation. Programs Officer of CDA, Suleiman Abipo, at a breakfast meeting in Wa, attended by media practitioners, laid bare the report of the baseline study, which revealed widespread smuggling of the commodity into neighboring Burkina Faso.
Smuggling of subsidized fertilizer is free for all in this district. It looks like fertilizer has a diplomatic passport because we see it being smuggled out of the country and no one stops it. So they see it's moving like nobody's business. So that is somebody's quote of how they saw the smuggling.
Executive Director of CDA, Salifu Isifu Canton, throwing more light on the baseline study, said the revelation is damning and called for a thorough audit of the program.
Whilst we commend government for taking the bold initiative to implement this policy, we however think that there are serious lapses in the implementation, which is costing the government to lose the taxpayers' money. So we think for us to be able to find out where the leakages are, we will need an audit. And that audit should be comprehensive to the regional levels. What are the quantities that have come in? to the district level? What quantities came in and who did you distribute to?
We're taking a break to bring you business news, and coming up in business, Petroleum Commission says it will soon announce a local partner for ExxonMobil to commence deep water oil exploration offshore Cape 3 Points. But we also have two of our top stories yet to come. Former President John Mahama has formally joined the contest to lead the opposition National Democratic Congress into the 2020 general elections, a move he describes as a duty to God and country. And then there's Santehene Otumfuose Tutu II is advocating a review of the 1992 Constitution to give traditional rulers defined roles in governance. Business news is up next with Emmanuel Amadia.
Hello, good evening to you. Welcome to Business. The Petroleum Commission says it will announce a local company soon to partner international oil-producing giant ExxonMobil to enable commencement of oil and gas exploration offshore deep waters within the Cape 3 Points in the western region. According to the Commission, it will conclude due diligence on the suitable local partner soon as part of the petroleum agreement signed with government in January this year. This came up at a strategic roundtable discussion on oil and gas industry in Ghana, organized by the Ghana Oil and Gas Club.
Earlier this year, Ghana signed a petroleum agreement with ExxonMobil for the deep water Cape 3 Points area for ultra-deep water oil exploration. The deal would have to be ratified by Parliament after a local partner also appends its signature to start its operations. Under the deal, ExxonMobil is expected to carry out the work program as operator and hold 80% interest, while the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, acting on behalf of government, holds 15% interest. Per the terms of the agreement, ExxonMobil will work with the government to identify a Ghanaian company to potentially hold up to 5% of the interest. Manager of the local content at the Petroleum Commission, Kwejo Asariche, has told Joy Business, despite the delay in getting a local company to partner ExxonMobil, will soon announce a credible local partner.
They are still on the due diligence process. Once it is complete, the Commission will be notified, and then I'm sure the agreement will now be sent to Parliament for ratification, and then they can begin with the exploration activities.
Have they come up with any potential local? Have they identified it?
That I know of for now.
Is it not too long?
You see, we're discussing quality. They need to settle on a local partner who can bring quality on board. So they need to take their time to really select a very good local partner who has matching skills. On the exploration and production front.
So can you say they are actually on course?
Yeah, they are. I find that they are on course. I'm sure in due time they will settle on a very suitable partner and then start their operations.
Established in 2010, the Ghana Oil Club was conceived by a group of oil, gas and energy industry professionals before Ghana's new energy sector policy and realization of first oil. The program is to give opportunity to industry players to have detailed discussion on making an entry and becoming successful. Kwabna Afori Ado is Managing Director of Connexus Energy and a Director of the Ghana Oil Club.
To provide a forum where we can talk, express ideas, look at some of the keys and topical issues, and then be able to bounce them off each other. Also, another avenue is for the industry professionals to be able to get together and network professionally and to be able to understand and also learn from each other. So that was something that was set up in 2012, and it was very active, especially around the LI 2204 when it was being debated and obviously signed into law around local contents on topical issues. So we're able to get together and then harness all some of the key players in the industry to review the LI and understand and also give their feedback to the government, to the Petroleum Commission, to the different entities.
The event is a partnership between Ghana Oil Club and the Oil and Gas Year.
Now, some experts have warned government against the over-reliance on the country's natural resources as part of its commitment towards moving the country beyond aid. Speaking to Joy Business at a natural resource breakfast meeting organized in Accra, a representative of the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, Burkhard Helliman, says natural resources should not be seen as the only means to development. Bismarck Ausa has more.
The warning comes as the latest World Bank report reveals that environmental degradation is costing the country more than 12% of its GDP. It is against this backdrop that some experts have urged government to refrain from over-relying on the existing natural resources in its quest to move the country beyond aid. Burkhard Hellman is resident country representative of Conrad Adenauer Stiftung.
I fully agree with the President that it should be taken into consideration and that this is a perspective for Ghana. The other thing is the management of natural resources. That should be done in a proper way, and certainly as well that Ghanaians benefit from that. So yes, there's a link between them, but nevertheless it shouldn't be mixed too much together, meaning natural resources management is the only key for the development of the country. I don't believe in that. Yeah, there are so many other areas, business sector, yeah, all the service providing sectors, yeah, that do not depend from natural resources.
Mr. Hellman spoke to Joy Business at the Natural Resource Breakfast meeting organized by the Institute of Green Growth Solutions. Director of the United Nations University Institute of Natural Resources in Africa, Dr. Elias Ayuk, has urged the public to support sustainable use of resources.
Ghana, like African countries, there is a need for relative decoupling. Relative decoupling means that they can grow and hurt the environment a little bit, but as they grow, they should be reducing the pressure they put on the environment. For the developing countries, they have no choice because they've reached that peak. It should be absolute decoupling. Absolute means that they cannot grow and hurt the environment at the same time. So the cost of environmental degradation is real.
In a related development, Director of Mines at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Christopher Anoche, says government is currently scouting for investors to harness local salt production.
Government is looking at using the bauxite, developing the bauxite resource of this country, and you can only develop the bauxite industry into aluminium only if you have, your salt industry. In fact, you gain more in going forward. We'll have to deal with the issues that are militating against its development. It's essentially the ownership of the land and all others before a serious investor would be prepared to put in his money. I don't have the figures off my head, but for any industrial complex, you're talking into millions of dollars. It's not a small amount of money. If really we want to go big, it's huge.
The 2018 Natural Resource Breakfast meeting is on the theme Ghana Beyond Aid, the role of natural resources. Bismarck Ausa's report for Joy Business.
To enhance financial inclusion, EcoBank Ghana has introduced the Express Point Agency Banking, an easy banking service that allows customers to access some services at selected Shell filling stations across the country. Karen Dodu has more.
Express Point, an agency banking agreement between EcoBank Ghana and Vivo Energy Ghana Limited, provides customers with banking services such as deposits and withdrawals, sending and receiving money from other EcoBank accounts to customers across Africa. Speaking at the launch of the banking service, Executive Director of EcoBank Ghana, Morgan Fianco Esiedu, said EcoBank is hoping to improve financial inclusion through the creation of this initiative.
EcoBank has a key objective of attracting 100 million customers on the mobile app by 2020. This alone, when achieved, has the potential of empowering the large unbanked and underserved people of Africa, providing great gains with respect to financial freedom and financial literacy, and deepening financial inclusion and reducing the cost to serve. In Ghana, EcoBank's digital drive aligns with the government's desire for every Ghanaian to have a bank account. We see this as a meaningful contribution towards reducing the over 70% of Ghanaians who currently have no bank account. Noted for its leadership in the provision of IT and digital banking solutions, EcoBank has always leveraged technology and third-party collaborations to deploy flexible financial products and services to our customers.
On his part, Managing Director of Vivo Energy, the parent company for Shell Ghana, Ebenezer Faulkner, lauded EcoBank Ghana for the efforts to bring banking services closer to customers.
We are pleased to enter into a partnership agreement with EcoBank Ghana, a leading bank in the provision of financial services in Ghana, to offer EcoBank agency banking services in line with our objective to continually meet the dynamic needs of our customers. Building on our existing relationship with EcoBank Ghana over the past years, Vivo Energy Ghana is pleased to partner with EcoBank to launch the Express Point, that is, EcoBank agency banking service at selected service stations in Accra, Tema, Kaswa.
The Express Point service can be accessed at 17 selected Shell filling stations across the country.
That's all in business on Joy News Prime. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. We are back for more business news. Log on to myjoyonline.com/business. There's more news ahead. Don't go away.
Former President John Mahama has finally officially declared his intention to contest the flag bearership of the opposition National Democratic Congress, explaining the current socio-economic and political landscape of the country formed part of the reasons for his decision to contest. The former president earlier on Thursday presented a letter to the party to indicate this intention. Mr. Mahama's declaration comes after Sylvester Mensah, Ekospio Gabra, Joshua Labi, among others, presented similar letters to the party indicating their intent.
I'm happy to confirm that I have submitted my letter to the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, confirming my decision to contest for the position of the flag bearer for the NDC when the party opens nominations later this year. In coming to this firm decision, I have pondered deeply and soberly on the socio-economic and political landscape of our country today, vis-à-vis the clear path we had started to build aimed at positioning Ghana as a true middle-income country by modernizing our dilapidated social and economic infrastructure and gradually inculcating in the Ghanaian a sense of patriotism, self-belief, and commitment to a One Ghana agenda. I've taken into consideration the groundswell of support, the never-ending calls and encouragement from a large section of our party elders, members of our party, supporters, and Ghanaians from diverse backgrounds. I have prayed diligently about the task ahead, and I believe I owe a duty to God and my country to take our great party back into government, to right the wrongs of the past, and to put an end to the cries of the people under the current dispensation.
Well, that video was taken from the Facebook page of the former president, who did not turn up at the party headquarters to officially inform the NDC. He delegated a team led by Ghana's former ambassador to the United States, Daniel Ohene-Jakum. My colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson has the rest of the story.
Supporters from across the country thronged the national headquarters of the National Democratic Congress at Adaraka to show support to the candidature of former President John Dramani Mahama. Daniel Ohene-Jakum led a team of delegates to submit the letter of intent to the party leadership. Leader of the delegation, Daniel Ohene-Jakum, says former President John Mahama has learnt the lessons of the past.
We will constantly bear in mind those lessons not only during the campaign for flag bearer of our great NDC, but also in the 2020 election campaign, and very hopefully in the government we shall form in January 2021.
The General Secretary for the party, Johnson Asiedu Nketa, was present to receive the letter. He seized the opportunity to remind the candidate to be civil during their campaign
We have already quoted our constitution to remind all the contestants about the need to be decorous in your pronouncements when you are on the campaign trail. And we have also pointed at the various sections of the Constitution that deal with our disciplinary code. And if the history of some of us is anything to guide you, we intend to hold your feet onto fire.
Former Deputy Education Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa believes Mr. Mahama is the best candidate to recapture power for the NDC.
Why do you want to experiment? Why do you want to risk an entirely new candidate who you are not sure of the prospects? So today is an exciting moment for us. We are very excited, we are ecstatic, and we pledge to support the candidature of President Mahama. You can be rest assured that we are going to do all we can do as members of parliament to bring along our constituents and to deliver victory.
Kofi Adams, the national organizer of the NDC, believes the reputation of Mr. Mahama is intact.
See, Mahama's market is out there. It's like Coca-Cola. Yeah, but some people are seeking to damage the market. I'm saying that it's like Coca-Cola. All other category of drinks have come. They have done all kinds of adverts to undermine Coca-Cola, but it continues to be a great brand. So you can do as much as you want to do, but Mahama will remain Mahama. His strength, his everything is out there. It's so clear. It's vividly written. It's there. You will attempt. If you don't take care of it, you will get damaged. It's like hitting your hand against a rock, thinking that you want to break the rock. You will injure your hand, and you will have sore fingers and not the stone that you are hitting.
For Joy News, I'm Chrissy Parker Wilson.
Now, some supporters who thronged the party headquarters, or some supporters of former President John Mahama who thronged the party headquarters, are appealing to the other aspirants to allow him to go unopposed.
GM is above all. The others are just wasting their time. I would have preferred they step down, they give him the nod to go unopposed so that they back him up. I'm telling you, unless John Dramani Mahama says he will not contest for the flag bearership race, none comes near to him. I'm telling you on authority.
This is a big family. We are all one and we are supposed to be one. So the best thing to do is for them to rather support him than to contest with him. Because you can never compete with the all-time winner. Mahama is an all-time winner and all-time hero. You can't compete with him. So how do it's an insult. Now? I don't know, I can't express my feeling. I'm overexcited.
And you think Mahama is going to
oh, yeah.
NDC?
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to
oh, yeah. Because the love is deep. The love we have for him is very deep. It's like 500%. So we are ever ready to support him, whether rain or shine.
I tell you, I'm so excited today. I'm so happy John Mahama have responded to our call for him to come and lead us again. And I'm so excited. I feel like crying. And I say, look, let us all join forces together. And then, as a family, back Mahama and kick this government out in 2020.
Right, there are already questions about how viable a candidate is former President John Mahama going into the 2020 election. We have some interesting analysis coming for you after the break. We'll be taking showbiz. But still ahead in the bulletin, we also have Asante Henry Otumfuo-Assetu II advocating review of the 1992 Constitution to give traditional rulers defined roles in governance. He was speaking at the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the death of Sir Foriata, where the Ochenhene dispelled rumors of a supposed rift between the two states. Showbiz is next. Now, former President John Dramani Mahama's official declaration to contest sets out the battle for the flag bearership of the National Democratic Congress. Now, here's an analysis put together by Malik Dabu of myjoyonline.com.
Mr. John Mahama, former Member of Parliament for Bole, former Deputy Minister, former Vice President, and former President, has arguably one of the richest political CVs in Ghana's politics today.
We cannot continue to export oil and gas. We need to integrate that industry into our economy. We need to process petroleum products and produce power with the gas.
These notwithstanding, the candidature of the former president puts the NDC in a very difficult, confused state. First, he represents the party's brightest chance at winning the next election, however dim the prospects may be. He is a household name, he has recognition, he remains a superstar, he has the nobility, the charisma, and the political acumen to back a claim for the presidency, and of course, the backs to run a campaign. However, Mr. Mahama appears to be putting personal interest over and above group interest. If Mr. Mahama does win in 2020 and leaves the presidency in 2025, election 2024 will need a fresh NDC candidate without history backing. This is perilous for the party. The prospects of winning the 2020 elections are bleak. It makes sense for the NDC to choose a candidate who can be marketed in 2020 and primed for the 2024 elections. A candidate who can run for 2 terms. This has been the main argument for Spiogabra, a contender in the race. And this is in the overall interest of the party, he says. Another thing that may plague a John Mahama candidature is what another contender, Alban Sumani Bagwin, described as a family and friends government. In NDC circles, Mr. Mahama is heavily criticized in harsh tones for alienating the core support base of the NDC. Many people in the traditional stronghold of the Volta region maintain the region and its people were largely ignored, both in terms of tangible development and representation in terms of appointments in the government. The election results were telling. Mr. Mahama obtained 80.97% of valid votes cast in the Volta region in 2016, compared to 85.47% in 2012. Given that the turnout in the region was low, a 5 percentage point drop of lower turnout was quite significant. This was a protest and vote of no confidence of sorts, Mr. Bagwin insists. It is therefore not surprising that stalwarts of the NDC from the region, like Victor Beho, will openly campaign for Professor Alabi. Also, clearly, Mr. Mahama comes to the ticket with a baggage. While the man was truly loved, his leadership attracted opprobrium for lack of decisiveness and clarity of purpose. Anti-corruption campaigners and civil society organizations are unanimous that he did very little in fighting against graft and ostentation in his government. He will therefore struggle to convince the electorate that he can do anything different. Closely related to this is the view that the president did not deliver to the satisfaction of the electorate, and this reflected on the emphatic rejection of his re-election bid. Mr. Mahama is the overwhelming favorite to win the nomination, but he may lead a fractured party into 2020 and probably leave it in a much worse state when he eventually bows out of the stage, whether or not he gets the opportunity to clean the blot on his rather unblemished record until 2016.
Now, that's Santihino Tumfosetu to the second is advocating a review of the 1992 Constitution to give traditional rulers defined roles in governance. He's optimistic such a move will help chiefs shape up decision-making and inclusiveness. The Santihini was speaking as guest of the 75th commemoration of the death of the late Ochehene Selfuriata I. Elton Brober's report.
Tradition and culture of the two kingdoms were on display before President Akufo-Addo, former President Rawlings, government officials, and thousands of people who converged at Ofori-Penin Fie, the meeting of the two traditional leaders, who both ascended their stools in 1999, dispelled long-held rumors traced to competition over superiority. The Santihene accepted to participate in a program following a similar visit to the Minshia Palace by the Ochehene Amwetia Ofori-Penin. Their entry to the Durbar grounds was in itself a display of culture and elegance. Addressing the gathering, Dr. Hene underscored the importance of education and encouraged the president to ensure sustainability of the free senior high school program despite challenges the program is facing now. He dismissed any rift between Asante Hene and himself.
No frata ye kana sem na suku hu hia ni yie uye no fiwa me a menua na no say tutu obedi ade ni anebota de ne se obeye educational fund na wama sebi ahiafo a woni bi atumi akọ school sana ye man panyin ono nso odi sa free SHS baaye se omo hia ensi obi akwan so obesua de eno kra no waye na bia sebi won ti ase eto hompe na enso ogina pintin so kwan bia so ne bota si nanim se obe na kwada bia sua de na ngoma de ko utrim a obi antumi nyimfi utrim enti ebo na baso ne abora na se tutu so abaso na nuado a eda entem no ehu hia Many minua na otufo kasa na ese akwantu e de ehwe wani mu na ye magana fo hu se nyina nipa fia o sina na akwantu ye frɛ no nkabom akwantu ye ba na gana fo hu se anya se ya mu atete na ye hyemu kena ne amagana fo hu se santeman ochiman eni gana nyina ye nipa fia.
The Asante Hene Otumfo Osetutu, who led a large entourage made up of 21 paramount chiefs, traced the history between the two tribes. He indicated his visit only cements the cordial relationship between the two.
Ononso wampa menshiada jom na wononso wofanso wokɔ hia wobe sɛde menua kan no wokɔ osi ha wokɔ nkran wagina ha na di nkɔmɔ ansa no akɔ jom sara na menua pokɔ anso beto aso jom na no na ase ne sɛ jom ya ye ka sɛ achim ye nyina refri adanse ne ba ha jom ye mfri ba biara ye fri adanse na kwantuo mu ane ba jom amwati apanyi wone kuma ofurikuma wono so kɔtena akuapem ɔkyekyereye jom ye ka de a ɛhɔ nam nya obiri konfo jom ɛhɔ nam nya asase de obiri konfo ma menya sikadwa jom ɛno nyina epom ha ya jom mia mu kura sɛ tu odika me bakra no ɛno so akwa mu nam bepie yansa jom nam namu ansa na sabie so a oja me kwan am de ko kuma se jom amwati apanyi ni kuma eba wo mu nua no wo fenso adwoso jom e ofa ase man so nkwata ye gya nyina ho jom wo mu dati kuma se ye dat po asantemem jom e no no wote ha jom e kuma so kodue ho jom enti ntuso ebe na demo bio jom ampa se me nua eba ene me ba ye mote kakra jom ye di nimfi aduonu ekwa aduonu nie jom ne bia ne mai na so na achia ne mui jom nyame no anhyehyɛ pa sikadwa anhyehyɛ pa jom no ochima akonwa anhyehyɛ pa jom na ama ye nyina ya sa abaya ani
Elton Bobe's report for Joy News.
Now, performing surgeries at the Evangelical Church of Ghana Hospital at Pandai had always been nerve-wracking and dangerous because of the lack of anesthetic machines. However, after a Joy News report, the hospital now has 2 machines donated by the Member of Parliament for the area and a group of foreign missionaries. Jojo Kobna reports that the surgical team are relieved and have suspended plans of leaving the district due to those challenges.
9 months ago, when Joy News visited the Pandai district of the northern region, this was the situation.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you once again. We commit this case into your hand. Come and take control. We commit this chance to be this society of family. Okay, good. So, can I go?
A baby is born. The surgery was strenuous because the Evangelical Church of Ghana Hospital had no anesthetic machine. The pregnant woman who experienced prolonged labor could have lost her life. Jagri, her husband, named the baby immediately.
Joy.
The name Joy was to show gratitude to Joy News for intervening and safely transporting his wife, who was riding dangerously on a motorbike, to the hospital to deliver. The doctor on duty was happy but had concerns.
I am appealing to you, to anybody who listens to this story and is touched, to come to our aid. A certain machine, averagely, if you have about 50,000, 50 to 60,000 for our level, is to be able to get us an anesthetic machine. At least this is to serve as a guarantee for quality care of our pregnant women who cannot deliver and have to go to theater.
Without an anesthetic machine, the anesthetist would have to monitor patients manually, and that is laborious and could be dangerous. The good news is that the Evangelical Church of Ghana Hospital now has 2 anesthetic machines following Joy News report.
Very, very happy. I'm very, very happy. Because without a machine, when we go for a workshop, every year we go for workshops to renew our opinion and all this and to upgrade our knowledge. And my colleague used to call me a murderer. How do you give anesthesia without a machine? It means you are with AK-47 loaded with what? Bullets to kill. It wasn't my fault. Looking at where I found myself, referring people from here to the nearby facilities, anything can happen. Some come there with bleeding, maternal distress, fetal distress. There's nothing we can do than to risk and with God's intervention. When I'm coming to do them, I'm not comfortable because I ask myself a lot of questions. If spinal fails, what do I do next? But without there's no machine. You see me standing, walking, singing, praying here and there. But with machine, I hope all this kind of tension on me is now reduced. This kind of happiness really in me is through the efforts of Joy News. Because since I came here, we wrote letters upon letters. I wrote letters upon letters to the Meshop to do something. And in fact, I was counting. I would say, Joy News, all the Pandai people, the district, this district, and beyond the district, let me put it that way, because people from above the district comes here for treatment. If they should, or if they can get my voice, that is all stand up and thank Joy News, and I'll say, may God bless them. Because I was giving them letters, I was counting my letters, and when I get to a level, I would have left this place. Because I can't continue to be labeled a murderer.
9 months on, Kwabna Joy is doing very well, and his parents are grateful, but they want government to work on the poor nature of the Pandai roads, and also provide ambulance for the community.
I could barely sit on the motorbike. I thank God Joy News showed up. Anything could have happened. Please remind government to give us an ambulance.
Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
Joy News indeed gets results. The Bank of Ghana has downplayed predictions from a section of the public that mobile money transfers will soon replace regular banking. Head of Payment Systems at the bank, Dr. Seto Amedeku, says mobile money can only complement mainstream banking. We were speaking at a forum in Accra on the theme Mobile Economy in Ghana, Challenges and Prospects. Maxwell Agbagba reports.
Mobile money is gradually becoming a major means of payment for the unbanked in Ghana. The rapid growth in mobile money centers in the country It's so because it only requires a mere tabletop to set up. As a result, it is very convenient for many people across the country, particularly in villages and areas where banks are not located. Although mobile money vendors are often prime targets for robbers, this does not deter patrons who prefer their services to the banks. The popularity of mobile money has raised concerns that it will soon replace regular banking. Head of Payment Systems at the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Seto Amediku, has downplayed the concerns.
There's no way mobile money can replace banking. There are a lot of activities of banking mobile money can never do. Mobile money cannot do letters of credit. Even currently, as we are speaking now, mobile money cannot grant you loan more than 5,000 cedi, 5,050 pesos. So that notion, some might think that mobile money is to come and replace banking. Mobile money is just complementing banking.
They added the new Ghana card is a solution to fraud in the mobile money space.
I believe the national card is going to be a game changer. So if you have the opportunity to obtain your national card, I will encourage everybody to go for the national card. I have got mine. For example, the national card, if there's going to be SIM registration, that is what we understood from the National Communication Authority, after everybody has got the national card. So all the fraud issue my brother was talking about, the national card is going to kill it.
Meanwhile, founder of the Progressive People's Party, Dr. Pakwesi Indum, says the Bank of Ghana has to be retooled to enable it to carry out proper regulatory work. His comments come on the back of the collapse of 5 Ghanaian banks this year due to liquidity challenges.
Let us strengthen the regulators so that they can help the banks become strengthened. And if the banks are going to become, they will be strengthened, then it is the newer banks, which happen also to be Ghanaian banks, that need that sort of support. I wish that here in Ghana, the regulator would be given more resources, will have more technology.
The government says it is setting up a cybersecurity secretariat as part of measures to deal with persistent cyber attacks on state institutions. Deputy Minister of Communications Vincent Soa Odote, who revealed this, said government is currently implementing the National Cybersecurity Policy document, which charts the roadmap for addressing cybercrime in the country. You will recall there have been a number of government institutions that have been subjected to cyber attacks. The minister says the Cybersecurity Secretariat will liaise with all the computer emergency response teams.
As part of our digital journey and build a digital economy, it's important that we strengthen our resilience. It's important that we make Ghana a safe destination in terms of our participation in the digital world. Yes, as a government, I'm sure before you do anything, you need a strategy. You need a document that will direct your plans, that will ensure that you know that the agenda you are taking is, and this government has taken that path with the promulgation and the rollout of the National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy document. It's already in place, which deals with every aspect of our digital safety on this ecosystem. We have instituted the National Cybersecurity Week as an annual event to ensure that the main thing is to create awareness and to ensure that people are aware that the threats and the benefits that they enjoy from the cyberspace, that the threats out there, and also to engage with stakeholders, to engage with practitioners about trending and new ways and new solutions like today. So the National Cybersecurity Strategy and Policy, the document, actually sets the path, set the components and direct government's efforts at making sure that me and you, as we reap the dividends of the technology or the digital dividends, we are also aware of the threats that we face. The National Cybersecurity Secretary is part of the key pillars of our policy and strategy. We have established a National Cybersecurity Secretary at the Ministry of Communication, which will be inaugurated pretty shortly and pretty soon. In that, we have also appointed for the first time in the history of the country a National Cybersecurity Advisor. And then also, as part of national cybersecurity strategy, we have what we call the institutional governance structure headed by His Excellency, the President. And below that, we have what we call the CERT, the Computer Emergency Response Team. This is a team or a body which guides, advises, and also responds in case of cyber, in case this our digital system is hacked or is attacked. And we have one with the National CERT. At the Ministry of Communication, we have the telecommunication CERT at the NCA, and we have the financial CERT at the Bank of Ghana, which deals with their computer response teams. In case we are attacked, they'll quickly come out to tell us what to do.
Meanwhile, Managing Director of Spearhead and IT Security Solutions provider Ernest Documents believes there's the need for urgent actions to check issues of cybercrime as it has implications on the country.
In the past, we've seen ministers' accounts being compromised. I think recently we heard the former president saying that he's seen counterfeit accounts on social media. And we also did quite a number of work. What we did was to use our intelligence. We saw, a lot of compromised attacks. We also saw account impersonations. What we did was to look at the key people in this country. Looking at the key people tells us that, look, there is business for us to do. So based on what he has shared, if they're able to do this, it's going to really, really help all of us. Why am I saying that? I mean, in the past, we've been fighting for these things to come to pass. Let there be some rules of engagement. Let's make sure the cybersecurity professionals come together to make sure that this is done. But what they're saying, I believe and respect that statement that he made. I believe that this is going to come through and it's really going to help the country. I believe so. I think that what we need to build going forward is the iceberg principle. The iceberg principle has to do with 10% of the ice at the surface and 90% down there. So if the policies come in with that strength, that capacity down there, I believe that will be more resilient in the market as a nation. I mean, we don't care about data like what you saw. People send anything anyway, anyhow. We don't care about any security, physical security. We don't care about it. Just imagine if I have to put USB sticks all over. Let's see if I can do similar here. Nice USB drives, leave it there. People will pick it and still go and slot it into their machine. If I have more wear on that device, just imagine what happens to the company. So currently, there are a number of information awareness going on, helping companies to now track their employees to make sure that at least they understand some of these issues so that they don't put their companies into trouble.